Hello and welcome to the Aunty Lisa show. Today on the Aunty Lisa show we've got the woods, the minions, Nanny Plumb, X-ray vision and the swamp ship. And every time I think, oh God. Right, here we go. One day, Aunty Lisa, Aleksander and Kristoffer decided to go and see Nanny Plumb in the woods because Nanny Plumb is hilarious and she is a fairy, and because she's a fairy she has magical powers which mean you can do loads of fun stuff. So off they went with bags packed full of goodies for all of the fairies because obviously fairies are tiny. So if you bring along a chocolate bar from human land, if that's what it's called, the big people, then it's enormous to a fairy, isn't it? They'll be over the moon for Aleksander, Aunty Lisa and Kristoffer. And off they set on their way to the little kingdom, which was next door to some woods. At least it is now. So, hold on, I need to drink my hot chocolate. I make good hot chocolate. Now, they arrived at the little kingdom, and there waiting for them was a big celebratory party of people all saying, "Hello! Welcome back to the little kingdom!" All the fairies and all the elves were there. And of course, Nanny Plumb. Nanny Plumb said, "Hey, would you like some jelly?" And everyone went, No jelly, Nanny Plumb. Remember what happens when you get jelly." Everyone said, "Okay, no jelly then. No jelly, Nanny Plumb." Nanny Plumb went, "Oh, fine, no jelly." "Hey, what's that you've got in your backpacks?" said Nanny Plumb. Aunty Lisa, Aleksander and Kristoffer said, "Well, it's funny you should ask, Nanny Plumb, because we've bought you some presents because, did you know, it's nearly Christmas." Nanny Plumb said, "Christmas! We love Christmas! It's the best time of the year." Of course, the elves agreed. They love Christmas. They're not Santa's elves, these elves, but they're related to them. So there are lots of relatives who are busy building toys for Santa. Anyway, so Aunty Lisa and Aleksander and Kristoffer presented them with their gifts galore. They had enormous bars of chocolate, enormous packets of sweets, enormous bottles of fizzy drinks. The fairies and the elves were super excited. Aunty Lisa said, "Do not eat it all at once. You will be horribly sick." And they said, "Okay, we won't eat it all at once." Wow, they were so grateful to Aunty Lisa, Aleksander and Kristoffer that Nanny Plumb said, "I'm going to grant you a wish. What would you like?" Aunty Lisa thought about it for a little while, but before she could jump out with, obviously, private jet / helicopter, Aleksander and Kristoffer both said, "X-ray vision!" Aunty Lisa went, "What? X-ray vision? Oh, I wanted a private jet." Well, Nanny Plumb went, "Bidding, pop! X-ray vision for all you lot, pop!" And do you know what happened? Wow! Aunty Lisa, Aleksander and Kristoffer could see through everything and everyone, because X-rays, they can see through stuff as long as it's not metal, basically. But you can see all the bones jiggling about inside people if you have X-ray vision, which actually makes everyone look a little bit like a skeleton and kind of creepy. Aunty Lisa did not like it at all. She said, "Nanny Plumb, Nanny Plumb, Nanny Plumb, make it stop. I can't help but see you all as and I do not like skeletons. They're scary. Nanny Plumb said, okay. Boop. Aunty Lisa, that's better. Whew. I did not like that at all. Aleksander and Kristoffer, however, were having the best time looking at each other as skeletons. And they were rolling on the floor, laughing so hard that they were crying tears of pure joy, which made all of the fairies and all of the elves also laugh so hard that they were crying tears of pure joy. Aunty Lisa said, for goodness sake, you lot, what are you doing? It's not nice looking at skeletons. Anyway, they all disagreed. They thought it was hilarious. Aleksander and Kristoffer started looking at other people and turning them into skeletons with their eyes. They looked at Aunty Lisa. I can see inside you, Aunty Lisa. They said, I can see your lunch, Aunty Lisa. It's all mushed up inside your tummy. Aunty Lisa, you can't see my lunch. Aleksander said, I can see your lunch. It's hilarious. And Kristoffer said, yep, it's hilarious. I can see everything. I can see your bones jiggling about, Aunty Lisa. And Aunty said, I don't want you to look at my bones anymore. Stop that right now. And then they looked at all the fairies and all the elves and they went, whoa, we can see all of your skeletons too. The only one who was safe from the X-ray vision was Gustav, I think that's his name, the ladybird, because he has an exoskeleton, which means he has a hard outer shell, and you couldn't see through it very easily. So he was marching about quite happy, and he was heading towards the sweets and the chocolate that Aleksander and Kristoffer and Aunty Lisa had donated, or given them for Christmas. Well, Aunty Lisa said, hey, Nanny Plumb, how long before this X-ray vision thing wears off of Aleksander and Kristoffer? Nanny Plumb said, well, probably just a day, I think. So don't worry about it too much, Aunty Lisa. Okay? Aunty Lisa said, fine, a day. Only a day of looking at everyone's skeletons, you two, and no more. Now, with that, they said, bye-bye, everybody. And all the fairies and all the elves waved bye-bye. And Aleksander, Kristoffer and Aunty Lisa went off into the woods. And they were quite spooky kinds of woods. They were a wood that was surrounding a swamp. A big, gloopy, green, scary, manky-looking swamp. Aunty Lisa said, why was it we came to the woods again today, you two? Aleksander and Kristoffer said, to see the swamp ship, Aunty Lisa. And Aunty Lisa said, oh no, I did not want to see the swamp ship. Why did you trick me into this? I thought we were just going to go for a picnic in the woods. And they said, well, we just gave away our best treats to the elves and the fairies, Aunty Lisa. Let's go and find the swamp ship. Well, they set off through the woods. And Aleksander and Kristoffer were having a great time seeing through things in the woods. They could see through all the animals. So they could see the skeletons of the deer and the squirrels. And even they could see partway through the ground. And they could see all lumps of rocks and old tin cans and old keys that people had dropped and all sorts of weird stuff that you see if you look down into the ground. Aunty Lisa said, you two, look where you're going. You're going to trip over if you keep just staring at the floor. Aleksander said, but what if we find something really cool buried in the ground? And Aunty Lisa said, what if you're looking at the ground so hard you fall over your own feet? And he said, don't be silly. And he fell over his own feet. And Aunty Lisa laughed until she realised Aleksander was actually quite hurt. She said, Aleksander, are you okay? And he said, no. I've hurt my bottom. And I'm not happy about it. And you shouldn't have laughed at me, Aunty Lisa. And Aunty Lisa said, I'm really sorry, Aleksander. Is your bottom okay now? And he said, yes, it's fine now, thank you. But I do need some chocolate to cheer me up. Aunty Lisa said, let me rummage and see if we left any in our bag. As luck would have it, she had left some in her bag. She gave a little bit to Aleksander, and because, of course, Kristoffer was there too, and he needed some as well. He had some as well. Everyone felt a lot better. Then they kept on walking, and then in the distance, it began to get very foggy. This often happens around swamps. They're very wet places, and the fog can set in quickly. Well, Aunty Lisa could not see anywhere she was going. She was stumbling around like this. I can't see anything, you two. Aleksander and Kristoffer, with their X-ray vision, were absolutely fine. No problem. The only things they had problems with were things that you could see straight through. For example, really fine leaves. They kept getting whipped in the face by really fine leaves. But large things, like trees, they didn't walk into. Unlike Aunty Lisa, who walked straight into a very solid and very painful tree. Ew, plop. Down on the ground she fell. Ow! Ow! Aleksander and Kristoffer laughed so hard. She said, "Oi, I'm actually hurt, you do." And they were too busy laughing to care. She said, "Hey, help your auntie up." And they said, "Okay, we'll help you up. Are you actually hurt?" She said, "Yeah, I've got a big bruise on my head." And they said, "Well, you should have kept your X-ray vision, shouldn't you?" At that point, Aunty Lisa did slightly regret not keeping the X-ray vision. So they agreed to guide her through the fog. Now, little did Aunty Lisa know, but they were actually being followed. Not by fairies, and not by elves, but by minions! There were minions following them into the woods. Every now and again, they would hear a little Aunty Lisa thought, "What's that?" Kristoffer, "What's that?" Aleksander, "What's that?" What is in these woods? But even with their X-ray vision, they looked behind and they couldn't see a thing. Those minions are crafty, and they were hiding behind trees. Well, anyway, eventually they made it to the edge of the swamp. Kristoffer said, "Hey, look! Look, look! We found it." And do you know what it was? It was the swamp ship. Aunty Lisa looked out across the swamp, but all she could see was fog. But Aleksander could see the swamp ship. There it was, in the middle of the swamp. And he was super excited. And Kristoffer said, "Hey, let's see if we can get aboard the swamp ship. How cool would that be?" Aunty Lisa said, "Not cool at all. Bad idea." Well, at that precise moment, she had a terrifying experience as 12 minions all leapt out from behind the tree and did this. For a prank. But Aunty Lisa didn't know it was the minions because she couldn't see them. She leapt onto the nearest paddle boat and started paddling away. Aleksander and Kristoffer, scared they were going to lose their auntie somewhere in the middle of a foggy swamp, leapt aboard. She went, "Get away!" Now, Aleksander and Kristoffer had turned around and they said, Aunty Lisa, it's just the minions. It's just the minions. They were playing a prank on us. But Aunty Lisa was still in the moment, paddling away. Before she knew it, they crashed into the swamp ship. Oh no! The worst had happened. She didn't want to go to the swamp ship, yet here she was at the swamp ship, and she was still terrified of whatever had jumped out at them in the woods. Aleksander and Kristoffer said, Aunty Lisa, it was the minions, you silly Billy. Now we've crashed into the swamp ship. What if it's haunted? Aunty said, Haunted? The swamp ship? Ah! I don't want to see a ghost today. I'm not in a ghost mood. Kristoffer said, Don't worry, Aunty Lisa. We've got our phones so we can zap any ghosts that we see. She said, Okay. Well, we're here now, and those naughty minions shouldn't have terrified me. What are they doing? The minions were on their way over the swamp ship in their own little boat, making a terrible racket. Well, Aunty Lisa, Aleksander and Kristoffer climbed aboard the swamp ship and started to have a little nosy around, which is probably a bad idea, as it turns out, because you shouldn't just climb aboard other people's boats that you don't own and have a little nosy around. That's really bad boat etiquette, and it's not allowed. But that's what they'd done because they crashed into it. Now, there was a strange thing aboard the swamp ship, but it was not a ghost. It was something that went no, not a balloon that's just been slightly burst. Aleksander and Kristoffer said, "What's that noise?" Aunty Lisa said, "I haven't able to see a thing." So Aleksander and Kristoffer used their X-ray vision. They could see the snake skeleton, and the snake was doing this. And it was rising up to be like a cobra snake. It looked like it might want to bite somebody. Aunty Lisa said, What have you seen? Kristoffer said, "It's a snake. A scary looking snake. We can see it with our X-ray eyes. Stay perfectly still." Aunty Lisa said, "No problem, I'll stay perfectly still. By the way, this was your stupid idea to climb on this boat. I wanted to stay in the woods." Well, the snake was a very angry snake. And actually, it was a magical snake. And the snake said, "Hello, who are you?" Aunty Lisa said, "Hey, is that snake talking to us?" Aleksander said, yeah, it is." Kristoffer said, "I know it's weird. Okay." And he said, "We're Aunty Lisa, Aleksander, and I'm Kristoffer. Who are you?" And the snake said, "I'm your worst nightmare. I've been terrifying things for millions of years." Aunty Lisa said, "I don't like the sound of that one bit." The snake went on, "I am the curse-spitting snake. Prepare to be cursed." Aunty Lisa went, "I am terrified of being cursed." Now the snake was just rising up, getting ready to spit out a horrible, terrifying, mean curse, when the minions in their boat crashed into the swamp ship, and the snake went flying. And it splashed into the water on the other side of the boat. Aunty Lisa, Aleksander and Kristoffer wasted no time. They leapt into the boat with the minions and said, "Get back to land! Quick, smart minions!" And the minions raced back to land. Whew! The snake was chasing them through the water because did you know snakes can swim? Well, they can. The snake was chasing them. "I'll get you for climbing on the swamp ship." And Aleksander, Kristoffer and Aunty Lisa were like, "Get up quickly!" Wow. Everybody leapt out of that boat back into the woods, and all the minions and Aunty Lisa and Aleksander and Kristoffer ran full pelt through the woods as fast as their feet would take them, and away from that horrible, scary snake that spits out curses. And they made it all the way back to the little kingdom. And everyone went, "Whew, that was absolutely terrifying. Let's never do that again." Well, Nanny Plumb was quite surprised to see them back again so soon. "What's going on?" she said. Aunty Lisa said, "It's been the worst thing ever. We went into the woods and it went all foggy, and then we went onto the swamp ship, and that was a bad idea because there was a terrible, haunted, scary, mean ghost that spits out curses. And then we had to run away, and the minions are here and they freaked me out. It was horrible. I didn't like it. Nanny Plumb, please take away this horrible x-ray vision from the children. They just keep laughing at my skeleton. Well, Nanny Plumb said, okay, what I think you will need is 2 things. 1, Aleksander, Kristoffer, no more x-ray vision. Ba-ding! Aleksander and Kristoffer went, but we liked our x-ray vision, and it did help us find the snake. Aunty said, yes, but still, stop laughing at my skeleton. And they said, okay, fine. Anyway, and then Nanny Plumb said, right, naughty minions, you should not have crept up on them and spooked them and made them crash into the swamp ship. That was bad minion behaviour. And the minions all went, and she said, I can see we're not going to get through to the minions today, Aunty Lisa. How about we all have a nice cup of tea and some jelly? And Aunty Lisa went, ah! But before she could tell her no thank you to the jelly, jelly was spilling out of the picnic basket. The minions were floated around with joy on a sea of jelly. Aleksander and Kristoffer were just stuffing their faces, and Aunty Lisa was just sighing. She said, Nanny Plumb, please can I have that cup of tea now? Nanny Plumb said, of course you can. Here you go. And she magicked up the best cup of tea Aunty Lisa had ever had. And that is the end of a very strange story. Love you. Night night.